back to another installment of YA Think Tank, the place where we having uncomfortable conversations in comfortable places. And we got the guys back on the couch with us, so I'm definitely ready to dive deep into this conversation. I think this topic is something that we hit on a couple of times, but I want to go a little bit more in depth with it. So we definitely gonna talk about it. But before we do that, I'm gonna let the guys introduce themselves, and then we'll jump from there.
I am Reverend Leroy Davenport, originally from Greenville, Mississippi. Now resides in Starkville, Mississippi, and I pastor the 16th section Missionary Baptist Church.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sidney Babalola. I'm originally from Corinth, Mississippi. I'm a member here at Brown Missionary Baptist Church.
Ty Jones, originally from Memphis, Tennessee. Go to Kill Avenue Baptist Church.
My name is William Smith. I'm from Memphis, by way of Whitehaven. I attend Brown Missionary Baptist Church. I'm just happy to be here with my brothers, man.
And I appreciate each and every one of you all. And me, Floyd Trey Lee, young adult pastor here at Brown Baptist. So I'm excited. Thank you guys for coming back to the think tank to have this discussion. So we just gonna jump right into it. You all know how we do it. We throw the topic out there and we go from there. And hopefully this discussion helps others convict and at the same time comfort you. And today's subject is on toxic masculinity. The reason why we're talking about it because I've noticed that there's been a conversation that we've been having throughout the black community and just throughout church as well when it comes to how toxic masculinity has had an effect on our community. What are the benefits? What are the effects, the side effects of it as well? For me, real quick, I grew up around a lot of manly men, and so certain things that I see now, it kind of gives me a red alert when I see it. So I'm still having trouble be able to, dissect between the two. So I do see the benefits, and I also see the side effects. But my question is, do you believe that toxic masculinity is the reason why mental health, when it comes to a lot of men, has been something that we have neglected over time? Don't be afraid to talk. Feel it in your spirit.
Repeat the question again.
So has toxic masculinity actually been a bad thing or been the reason when it comes to mental health that a lot of men do not address mental health, or it's been the reason why we've neglected because of toxic masculinity?
I feel that.
And if you want to explain to them what you believe toxic masculinity is as well, you can.
Yeah, that was about to be my statement. It's such a moving definition. I feel like it switches up depending on
Still being defined.
Depending on whoever the individual is. Like, I kind of deal with words a lot. So, context, circumstance plays a lot into, how words are defined.
That's right.
But in 2021, 2020, et cetera, today's time, it's interesting that sometimes context and circumstance don't necessarily shape words all the time. Like individuals can shape words. And so what I may deem as toxic masculinity, somebody else may say, oh no, that's not toxic masculinity. And so I think for me, when I get to speaking about whatever is toxic masculinity, whatever it's toxic masculinity if it is leading to the oppression and true oppression of other communities, especially our women, and also if it's leading to harm to me personally, right? Yeah. And so I think whenever we're talking about harm personally and oppression to others that are not males, I think that's when we're talking about masculinity. But I've just seen and heard so many different things. Like, oh, that's toxic. No, it's not. That's, so, but
And that's why I hope that in this conversation we do speak on that, so we can, get away from that, or at least define, I guess, in our own way, what it looks like to you. So I know you're about to say something.
No, I completely agree. Like, especially with the idea that like people like change the narrative of what words mean. Like, cause honestly, if you ask somebody like, who do you think is toxic or who do you deem toxic, I'm pretty sure like majority of people will probably say Future. Like, he's possibly the most like toxic person you can think of. I don't know if he like wants to like have that narrative of him being toxic, but I mean, like his music and the way he goes about things, it seems like that's what he wants to do. So when I think of toxic, I just think of somebody who is like knowing that, I don't know, they know who they are, but sometimes they get like a little confused or get a little lost in the sauce sometimes, and like then hurts like somebody else in the matter of like you also trying to develop sometimes who you are and trying to figure out some things that you've got going. But like I know like key word, key phrase, you know, hurt people hurt people. So being toxic, like you had to have been in some toxic waste that caused you to be toxic that maybe you haven't then dealt with to get that toxicity out of you, you know, while you're going through what you're going through. And maybe somebody hasn't even been accountable with you or in your camp and let you know, like, man, you kind of stink, like you smell like trash right now, you know. So I think it's really an understanding of reflection of who you are, what have your actions been. Real quick thing, and I don't mean to be long, but yesterday I was talking to y'all about how I went to this wedding, right? And when I was talking to a lot, I didn't know anybody. Like I was at this wedding by myself, didn't know nobody, but I enjoyed myself. But the people that I did know, a lot of the people were asking them like randomly about like, oh, is he a good guy outside of like the wedding? And like those people vouched for me because they knew me. And I think it really shines back onto the fact of like your track record with people. You know, what is your history with people? Can people vouch for you as a person? Can people say outside of this, yes, this person is the same person here as he is here? So I think a lot of times we don't have people who are in our circle that can keep us accountable when we fall out of those, you know, trust pockets. So that's my piece.
And I can really say that toxic masculinity can even hurt, especially African American men, even in regards to getting wellness checks, all the way up to hygiene. Like, you know, you would talk to some people and they'll tell you that, you know, you shouldn't go to the doctor, or you might talk to some black men and say you shouldn't go to the doctor unless you're sick. And that's not true. That's why you see a lot of people, especially in our community, African American community, they waited too late when they could have at least had a chance at living had they gone and got, you know, wellness checks every year. And then of course, even talking on hygiene, you know, you know, I have line brothers that I've, you know, spoken to about, you know, just like hair loss, you know, that's a big thing in our community as well, is, you know, about us losing our hair. And then you ask them, you know, what do you do for, you know, to keep your hair groomed and stuff? And they think that if they put condition in their hair, that's, you know, that's feminine. I'm like, no. Like, if you talk to any beautician and barber, they both tell you, you know, just as well as a woman's supposed to put shampoo and conditioner in her, men are supposed to do that too. They think conditioner is feminine. I'm like, no, bro. Like, you're supposed to put conditioner in your hair as well.
Take care.
Right, take care of your hygiene as well. So, you know, there are a lot of things that contribute to being toxic, you know, masculine, you know, and then also the toxic masculinity type of issue.
Yeah, and I want to kind of hone in on that initial question. You know, how is mental health affected by toxic masculinity? The way it's been passed down to tradition that men should not show emotions. We shouldn't show our tears, not to express ourselves, and so how we walk around with those feelings and those emotions bottled up on the inside, and we look well on the outside, but really we just jacked up on the inside, and that is displayed and demonstrated through everything else we do. In some ways cause us to be more aggressive. Some ways cause us, as you were saying, to hurt people just by our actions or by our thinking, all because we hadn't taken that chance, as you were saying, to be well, do that wellness check. And so to answer the initial question, yes, toxic masculinity does affect our mental health, because if we think it's toxic or feminine to go express ourselves or tell how we feel, I mean, how can we, you know, really be our best self?
Exactly.
Our best self. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think for me, it just goes back to even watching my son. Like even everything each one of you all said plays a part in me looking at my son, looking at myself. Like I remember one time my son, he was just running. I'm talking about getting. And next thing you know, splat, hit the ground. I mean, talking about scarred up his knee or whatever. And then I was like, get up, boy. You good? You don't feel nothing? You okay? And then in the back of my mind, I was thinking, I was like, but what if he is really hurt? And he looking at me like, Dad, like I got a cut on my leg, like I'm hurt. And then in the back of my mind, I was like, Floyd, don't you're doing something. So you're advocating for mental health, but at the same time, when your son is expressing himself, you're being toxic about the situation because he could literally be hurt. But the way I grew was if you hit the ground, get up, boy. Get up. That's it. You good. You good. Right. And so I'm doing the same thing to him, and I think that spills down, like you said, to him, and he started saying the same thing. Like, if I'm hurt, I'm not gonna say I'm hurt, because if I do, the response is gonna be you good. But in the true reality of it is I'm really hurt. And so that's why I said I think it's time that we start talking about it more so on the emotional side. Because I hear toxic masculinity in so many ways. Like, some things I just don't do because I don't do, not because I feel like it go against the man code. I just don't do it. It's just a law that I live by. But at the same time, I do believe toxic masculinity has stopped a lot of men from coming to their brother and saying, hey, man, I'm dealing with this right now. I'm vulnerable. Man, I'm probably finna go out here and cheat on my wife. What do I do? Yeah. And they don't have a safe space like that, because most of the time, I know brothers that do have surrounding members in their crew. They be like, man, you finna get it, let go. Man, your wife getting on your nerves, let's go out tonight, man, let's get it. Instead of saying like, bro, let's figure out what's going on to help you save your marriage, because it's too many failing marriages, and a failing marriage, especially with kids, it falls back on them.
Yeah, that's right.
So what do you think that when you were saying that when he failed, because a lot of people, they contribute like toxic masculinity to being either tough and soft. So, you know, that's one thing I feel like that, especially in our community, we have a difficult time defining what's tough and what's soft. Like, when you're crying too much, you're too soft. Then, of course, if you ain't crying enough, you trying to be too tough. Yes. So, you know, and then a lot of people in this, especially when you're talking about the ladies, you know, they'll say, well, they'll tell you they don't want no man that's crying all the time. That's for them to cry and stuff like that. So that's where it comes back in our mind. Okay, well, I can't cry, you know, because especially in front of my wife or in front of my kids, because they're looking at me as to be this wall, this stronghold that's going to keep our family going, and, you know, and being the backbone of the family. So I guess more so, when you're talking about toxic masculinity, what's the definition of too soft and being too rough or hard on certain issues?
I think it's contextual. You know, it really depends on the environment that you grew up in, because that's what kind of helped shape and define what's masculine for you. You know, as the example you just gave your son failed, you say, you know, we grew up in Greenville. Did you get back up? You all right? You know, but you really could be hurt. So that helped us to begin shaping ourselves that it is masculine to not cry. It's masculine to not express your pain. So it's really contextual. And as Ty said a little while ago, is depends on the individual, or what's masculine or not masculine. For a while, I didn't think it was masculine to get a pedicure. You know, most of the time you go to a nail shop, females go to the nail shop. And so it wasn't until my brother, who's a college athlete, was going to get a pedicure. I was like, I'm going to go with him. And they're like, oh, this is the best thing ever for my feet. You know,
the best thing
ever. You know, and that's something, it's just a small example of the many examples every day of where we talked about ways to just define masculinity. And the truth is, we can be toxic with masculinity without even knowing how.
I think, you know, it's funny you brought up emotions, emoting, you know, expression and all those. You know, there was definitely a time that I did my due diligence to, you know, hide all emotion. But I mean, most of us here are, you know, have gotten a little bit older. You know, we a little closer to 30 than we used to be. Yeah, man, you are 30. So, you know, it's just like, you know, I'm in a funny, you know, it's funny, but then I'm actually being quite serious. The older I get, I feel like the more in tune with my emotions I become. Like, you know, it's just like, you know, there are things like I could be watching a video or something, and you know, and really be, and like might start like tears, Mike. I'm like, what is happening to me? Right. You know, right now. But you know, the thing is, like what you were saying earlier, we have been taught to suppress those feelings and suppress those emotions, and that's you know, a very surface example. But you know, as we get older, you know, hey man, I'm dealing with depression, or I'm having a sense of anxiety, or you know, these things. I'm struggling with self-esteem. My insecurities are starting to show themselves in different facets of my life, and these things happen. But we're always taught to suppress them. The problem with suppressing them is that they come out in other ways, and
you
they'll
suppress
come
them
out
and project them.
yeah, and they become a matter of projection. And they, you know, like I think I said, you know, last time I was a guest here, man. You know, it wasn't until I got 29 that I saw strength in being vulnerable versus in seeing the weakness in suppressing all those emotions and those feelings. And so I think for us as men, especially, until because at some point, if you keep on suppressing it, either it's gonna come out when you don't expect it to, or it's gonna come out in a terrible way, which the ramifications you're not gonna want to deal with, or you know, it's not. That's toxic because it doesn't benefit you in the long run.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, that's not it. I think we got to definitely get away from that reality. Whereas men, we think, oh man, if you cry, you weak. And then even women, if you know, that suggest those type of things, they really haven't been in real relationships if they think or you know, attribute that to being weak. That's not weakness at all. As a matter of fact, it's a form of trust if a man is willing to be vulnerable with and in front of you. So,
That's right.
You know.
That's right. That's right. And those same women say he don't even express himself enough.
Come on, now, you know.
So you don't want me to express myself, or you want me to express myself?
Right.
Yeah. But I think as ministers, church leaders, Christians, we have to do a better job of just showing in the Bible how men showed emotion. David, that's a good example, who fought and defeated Goliath, cried all the time, you know, and expressed his emotion through the book of Psalms, you know. Jesus, our Savior, wept at the tomb of Lazarus. And so we can go on and on throughout probably almost every Bible character to show where they express emotion. And I really believe that if we do more of that, it would increase the prayer life of men, because we can't really have true prayer with God until we first learn how to be vulnerable with Him.
So two things, bro. You just said something, and this finna probably spin this conversation around a little bit, but I want to hit on David, man. I think about him and the relationship he had with Jonathan. And a lot of people, when they read that text, they see it in a way of form of like, man, they was too close, too close to the point where people started to throw homosexuality in there, not understanding that David was not actually saying that he loved Jonathan like he loved a woman. He was saying that he could trust Jonathan more than he could trust Jonathan's sister, who he was married to, who Jonathan's sister was betraying him because she was actually going along with Saul and the plan of trying to take him out.
Right.
But he loved Jonathan because he could trust Jonathan with his vulnerability. It wasn't so much of a sexual attraction. It was more just the affection of him and his brother being able to share that moment of understanding, like, man, you are in a place where somebody is trying to kill you, that person being my father, but I'm going to protect you. And so when a man, so this brings me to my question. So when a lot of men read that, they say, oh no, that's weak. That's too close to homosexuality. I'm not understanding the friendship. And so I see that now, that a lot of men, they don't have friends or homeboys they can really go to and be vulnerable with. And there are some, you see, the men that don't deal so much with toxic masculinity, you can tell they have accountability partners and they have friends that don't mind them expressing themselves. But the men that are so tough and toxic, you can tell they don't have anybody around them that's okay with them showing their true affection. Like, if you love a girl, like I remember back when we was in high school and they be like, man, you in love with that girl? Bro, man, get on, bro. Man, we don't love these girls, man. Then Chris Brown came out with the song, but he said something else. But at the same time, bro, like you start noticing, like, man, I didn't grow up around men that was okay with showing their affection or showing they feelings. So when they do get with an actual woman, they can't show their feelings with a woman because they treat her just like they treat their homeboy. Just like, nah, I ain't finna show you that. And then it puts you in that position. So it brings me to my question. Do you think toxic masculinity has messed up those relationships where men can have true accountability partner, or even coming to the church? Because a lot of men see church as like a weak place. Like, I'm not coming here because it's weak.
I want to answer your question, but before I answer, I want to say this. I think because it's very important that we address toxic masculinity, but then I'm also sympathetic towards those who have toxic habits, right? Because there are reasons why that they participate in such habits. For instance, if you are a man that has a family with children and one of your primary tasks or primary responsibilities is to provide, you know, if something is happening, you like, man, I just got to get it done. Like, I got to get it done because I got to get this check to be able to provide for my family. While that, suppressing those emotions and maybe not communicating with others, while it is toxic, there are reasons why perhaps you're trying to say, hey, I need to put this down so that I can get the job done. So I also want to be, sympathetic towards those individuals that have those type of habits. Or maybe the man that refuses to talk because maybe his trust has been betrayed before, either by male or female, you know what I'm saying? So he's like, hey, I'm a little hesitant towards, expression. So that's one thing. Secondly, to address your question, I think it absolutely has. I think it has definitely affected our relationships with men, right? Like I think for me, I have two younger brothers, and I've always said my entire life, like they are like my best friends. Especially as I've grown older, man, there have definitely been times, especially as we continue to grow older, man, we've had our times where, we might show emotion, or we're like, hey man, I'm dealing with this, or I'm struggling with this. However, that hasn't always been the case, because we were, you're taught a certain type of way to, like for instance, and y'all understand, but like for so long, we didn't tell other men that we loved them.
That's right.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we're like, hey bro, have a great day. I love you. You know what I'm saying? Like we wouldn't. It felt weird making those type of things. But man, as you get older, that doesn't mean it. Like I love my brother. You know what I'm saying? I love my friend. Hey, like there's nothing wrong with expressing those type of things, because guess what? I don't know if like any of y'all like me, like you've lost people that were your age before, and you wish you had that opportunity to say, hey man, I'm thinking about you.
Yeah.
I'm praying for you. Like, and you miss those type of moments, but the reason you missing them is because you thought that it was being a man to because by not saying those type of things. And then accountability, bro. Like, we Christians are their best in community. We're designed to be social beings, and so hey man, that you never gonna get it all right by yourself. And you're going to need people that are going to be like, hold you accountable. Like, as you threw out earlier, like a husband that is a husband whose wife is getting on their nerves. Like, no, you need that type of accountability. And so, and for so long, we were taught, don't tell nobody your business, And true, you shouldn't. Not everybody. Not everybody. Right. But you should find yourself some trusted individuals.
Exactly.
That can handle the humanity of who you are.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So,
that's good. And one thing, as we continue this conversation, we have to realize that these things are learned.
Right, for sure.
Unintentionally learned. Learn from just by being in environments. How many men out there that didn't grow up with a father in the home, who did not see a father express emotions, who did not see a father tell them that they loved them, so they're just out there just with these learned behaviors that they're trying to unlearn to become more healthier and wise as they interact with people. That's one thing. And then also just thinking about just having that circle of trust. Growing up, I remember that a lot of the older guys would just get together under the tree. Get together under the tree, they probably had a drink, probably had the grill going, but that was their support group. And I didn't make this connection until one day I was in the barbershop, and some kind of way relationships came up and marriages came up. And the older guy was in there, he was saying, y'all, all y'all need to do is find y'all a tree and a few fellas and y'all be all right. He said, y'all get mad at your wife, she mad at y'all. Instead of just going outside being cool, y'all texting back and forth, and you go back in, she gonna fish your plate. When I was, he said, back in the day, I go up on the tree, and I may vent to my homeboy, she forgot what's going on, and then go in, dinner ready, my plate is fixed, all because I had an outlet. And he was saying that we've gotten so busy that we don't have time to sit with our emotions or process our emotions to either really get them out. Yeah.
So you saying and that's why I said so. Like I had been in a barbershop, and this is why this platform was created, because I understood that these conversations happen in the barbershop all the time.
Yeah.
Why aren't we having these conversations here? That's why I always been okay with saying, listen, these conversations are uncomfortable, but we got to have them starting in the church if we are going to say that we are Christ-led and we are bringing a solution or helping create a solution. So it brings me to the reason, sitting in the barbershop, hearing the men having this conversation, and they were like, man, no, this. And it's like people going back and forth. But it ended with saying, one dude was like, man, y'all need to take it to Jesus, whatever. And it went like, no, man, I don't go to church, man, that's for them women. And it was kind of like, that's when it pricked my brain then to understand, like, it's because you don't understand that going to church is not about being weak. Because if that's everybody that comes to the church is vulnerable, man. We're coming here to worship in unity, but true enough, I'm also seeking somebody that's also going in the same direction as me to help uplift me, man. Because like Ty said, we can't do this thing called life by ourselves. So how do we start creating small groups that are open for men like that are toxic, that we sympathize with, and say, hey, bro, you can come over here. I know you're dealing with a lot, and you feel like you can't express that to none of your people, or to your wife, or to your girl, whoever. Come here, bro, and feel welcome to that. How do we set those places up?
Yeah, being unorthodox in very casual settings. It may start out with just a basketball game. And after that basketball game, just sitting, eating, and just having natural conversation, and letting the natural unfold. Because the space has to be trusted first. It has to be trusted first. So having that trust, and then as you continue to build that community, continue to build that trust, people are going to eventually begin to express some things that's going on. But the space has to be a trusted space first, and it has to look not like church, where I got to put on the suit, coming to a Sunday school room,
bingo,
learn about a lesson, and then the last 5 minutes you want me to talk to you. And then after I do something crazy, I'm on the news or something, you say, why you come talk to me?
There you go.
When did I have the space to talk to you?
Right.
So we need more casual conversation. And I think it needs to be separated by age sometimes.
Yeah.
Because young adults would feel comfortable talking about, talking to more young adults.
Yeah.
I reach more young adults when I preach in jeans and a t-shirt because they feel that I'm not intimidated anymore, by my suit. And I know that may sound crazy, but I believe in reaching this new generation, reaching some of the men, we have to be able to go into environments where does not seem like traditional spaces, to be able to make them feel welcome, to even come in and say, hey, I'm struggling with this.
And I guess that brings also the other ideal of saying, like, and you said something that's true, bro, that the setting has to be made for the person that we're trying to help, you know what I'm saying? And so I think that's why this conversation means a lot to me, and I hope that whoever's watching, you share it with somebody else, pass it on, continue to keep the conversation going, because then if they see me in Walmart, I promise you, I'm okay with you coming and tapping on the shoulder like, hey, bro, can we have that conversation, or can we talk about this now? If I'm with my family, it might be short, but I don't mind giving my number out if you're trying to really seek true help. Because I do sympathize with people that have that idea that they have to always be strong. Because I've learned that being a strong friend ain't always what's up, you know what I'm saying? I tried it, and being a strong friend has put me in plenty of places where I've had nervous breakdowns because I'm trying to be strong. But then I had to realize, who am I trying to be strong for? Is it for me, or I'm trying to be strong for everybody else around me? And I think that became toxic for me as I've continued to push forward. So do you all check up on your strong friend, or are you the strong friend?
I'm a strong friend. I can really say I'm probably the strong friend. But just to hit on what you all have been talking about a little bit more, is I think we got to stop, putting on this persona that we are perfect men, because a lot of people may not be coming to us as Christians because they feel like we're the perfect man. We don't make mistakes, we don't sin, etc. So that's why the connection is not being made. A lot of people, they walk around like, I got it all together. I don't have problems and stuff like that, or we put that off as if we don't have problems. Instead of, like you said, instead of people seeing us in a real state, like he said, even by the way we dress or our social media platforms and stuff like that, we dress up everything around us to the point where people don't know how to connect with us.
Yeah.
So when people start really seeing who we truly are as people, as Christians, then you'll start seeing a lot of more people and a lot more men coming back to church and connecting more with the ministries.
Yeah.
Facts. I agree. I think even just thinking about the people that you have in your circle, I think a lot of times we have a lot of yes men in our circle because it pleases us and it strokes our masculinity and it strokes that persona that we have and just the comfortability and just, it makes us feel good when we have people around us who are telling us, giving us this high praise or whatever. So I think, and something that I've been keeping myself accountable with people in my circle, just not being that yes man, just stepping out, even when all my friends are being the yes man. And I've let majority of my friends know, like, look, if we're gonna be friends, I'm gonna let you know up front, I'm not a yes man.
Yeah.
Like if I know that you're about to step into something that's not gonna be beneficial for you, I'm not going to hype you on. I'm going to let you know up front. And ultimately, it's your choice. But I'm just going to be in good spirits with myself and God, knowing that I tried to be the mediator between you and that bad decision. So I think it's just knowing who's in your circle. And then not only that, the company that you keep as well, the people that we are with, the places that we go, those are all things that feed into that toxic behavior. And then not only that, but also, what are you feeding into yourself? Like, food plays a big part into your mental health. Like, I know a lot of people who are feeling real toxic. Well, you're eating a lot of toxic waste. Like, you're a lot of fried foods and grease. It causes you, and it creates a more lackadaisical work environment. It causes a more lazy spirit. It causes you not to do the things that you're really supposed to be doing, to set them aside. So make sure that you're feeding yourself spiritually, but also, physically, putting those things into your body that's going to make you feel well and make you do well. And then, that exercise as well is also going to help you out with that mental health. Those endorphins that are going to be produced when you create that exercise movement creates confidence. It creates passion. It creates drive. It wants you to get yourself on a more, more like focused track at that point. So those little things that I've personally done have definitely helped me out. And then also reading. Right now I'm reading The Way of the Superior Man. It was one of Nipsey Hussle's last interviews that he did. It was a book that he recommended. So not only, the people that you surround yourself with, the things that you're feeding yourself mentally and physically, but also just the things that you're reading. If you're scrolling down Instagram 24/7, and you're looking at all these people who are toxic in these toxic relationships, and and it's for real though, because people, like you said, Todd, don't have father figures. So when you don't have a father figure, okay, the only way I know how to be in a relationship is the way that Quavo does it. The only way I know how to be in a relationship is the way that does it. Like that's literally it. So the way that we have shaped these relationships and the way that we've done these things is strictly, off of Instagram. So you got to put that stuff aside and, read some books, read some things that will feed into you and give you positive affirmations. And then also, like I said, the company that you keep, find people who, either at your job, people who have, are in your family. There was just literally a couple at Brown who have been married for 52 years. Like, those are the people that you need to probably not talk to every day, but you need to just ask them, like, okay, what did you do 52 years ago that got you into this point, so that I can find some type of stability and find. I'm pretty sure that they've had some argumentative moments. Those 52 years probably weren't perfectly, those whole 52, but knowing that you can put yourself around people like that, those resources that you have, use those tools, pick them up. Just don't let them stay at the wayside. So,
and I think you brought up a very valid thing. What are we consuming?
That's good.
Like on the daily basis, like because when we scroll on the gram, continuously, whether you know it or not, you are comparing.
yeah.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Especially,
Yes,
you
sir.
you like, man, I see this you know, you just graduated. Say you just graduated college. You know, a lot of us can testify to this weird season you go through once you post grad life. You're like trying to find some stability, and you go through that. But then you see so and so on your timeline, and they a millionaire, and you like, wait a minute, I'm still trying to find a job. Like, and so immediately you start comparing, right? All the while not knowing that God might be doing something completely different with you than what they're doing with this other individual.
That's
so,
true.
you know, what are you consuming on the consistent basis? And you know, like for me, bro, there are times I have to take breaks from social media. There are times I have to take breaks from the music that I typically listen to, because I'll be honest, I don't always listen to gospel music.
What?
So,
What?
You know what I'm saying?
You're a Christian man and you don't listen to only gospel music?
So-
What
so
is this?
those realities, like, but sometimes you got to be honest, like, hey man, like I'm in a space right now, I just can't do it right now. I'm not saying you got to quit it cold turkey.
Yeah.
But there are times, you know what I'm saying? I'm reading, like he mentioned the book. I'm reading right now devotionally a book by Gordon MacDonald called "Ordering Your Private World," and he talks about, you know, the book begins talking about this whole sinkhole syndrome, that some of us go through these things and it's like life collapse under us, but we put so much time like ordering the outside world, the things that we're going to get these tangible results, like, you know, making sure your resume right, your job is doing well, or you have the right car, so you're going to get the right attention because of the right car. All the while, you're not doing anything to build up that inner world of yours. And then what happens is that you kept on going for so long, and then you look down the line, you're like, man, I spent so much time ordering this outside that my inside is collapsing, and then that leads to, you know, like you're imploding almost in a sense. And so I would caution anybody, male or female, whoever's watching this, man, be careful of whatever you consuming.
That's right.
On the daily basis, bro, because it plays a part. You know, you can, if you eating bad one day, that's one day. You can have a cheat meal.
Yeah.
Hey man, you can't eat bad Monday through Friday.
It's a cheat week.
You know what I'm saying?
It's a cheat week.
That's how I know he a fitness guy.
Yeah.
He said a cheat meal. Most people that
A
are really
cheat
in that fitness, like, they say
day.
cheat day.
Yeah, a cheat
He
day.
said a cheat meal. I respect that. And then I like that too, man, because you said something that a lot of people want to say, that when you're on Instagram, even if it's not intentionally, you are comparing yourself as you scroll down and seeing what other people are doing, even if it's not intentionally. But I like what you guys are saying. It's not so much about, it's what you're putting inside yourself. What you're consuming can be toxic, which will come out toxic. So it's like garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
just the reality of that. And I guess how I look at it like this, man, for me, if I can give anybody some quick remedies now, if you got any insurance, if you have insurance, some insurance pay for therapy. Therapy is okay, you all. Like, you can do that. Like, it will give you at least, I think some of them 8 to 10 free trials. Like, and then some of the
That's some good
people,
insurance right there.
some of the shit.
3.
Well, that's Sigma. But some of the therapies, they will help you out though. Like, they would definitely, if they know that you really need help, they will keep, you know, starting over just to help you continue, at least to get you on a track. So that's one thing I throw out there, therapy. Watching what you take in, that's 2. And 3, accountability, man. Be okay with having accountability. It's okay, y'all, to have somebody to check you. It's okay. We're not perfect. And I think when I'm a perfectionist, but when I found out that it was okay for, like, yes, true. Like, when I be in the studio making music, I used to hate somebody correcting me on how I said something or what I did, but I realized that person that's an engineer, they're hearing the same way what somebody else would hear.
That's right.
I can only hear what I hear because I'm in the booth. But if he hear this on the soundboard and he say, "Nah, you slurred that," and I'm like, "No, I didn't slur it." But when I got to the point that I understood that he was hearing something that other people would hear, I realized then, like, Floyd, this is gonna make you a better person. And so being okay with people checking you, people, and I truly believe, have people that's in line, and this is another thing. Everybody, you can't put in that space that you think, like, hey, I'm gonna let this person check, everybody can check me. No. Like, have some true accountability partner that you know consistently can check you, and you can take it respectfully, and you can do the same to them. And anything else you guys want to say
And
before we
then
wrap it up?
find that thing, and we'll hit on this a little bit, find that thing that helps you escape. He says for him it's reading. For me, I've started journaling. It helps me process my day, process what I felt, what I didn't like about my day. Just begin thinking about those things. You're anywhere around Ty, he gonna say, I need to get to the gym. we all the way in Dallas, Texas for a preacher come. He's like, I gotta find a gym. And I looked up, he found one. But he knew that he needed that gym. You know, and so for me, I ain't much of a runner, but I can jog and walk. And so I can get an intense walk jog in. So what I do is I walk 4 minutes, run 2 minutes, and just repeat that. Eventually I get it to where I can run a whole mile, you know. But you got to start somewhere.
Start somewhere.
Find
Yeah,
a way
start
to
somewhere.
just get started and just find a way and do it at your own pace and be comfortable being you.
I wanted to I would always advise anybody to, you know, find those healthy practices. Like as Leroy told y'all, I am a gym rat. But I'm a gym rat on purpose because I found out whenever I'm disciplined in that area, it leads to discipline and better results in other areas of my life, right? So my day usually starts off, go to the gym, then I come home and I might read, and that's my devotional time. So there's a process to it, right? But then journaling too, and then those, you know, that circle of people that you can be like, hey man, I'm having a bad day, you know, and they'll listen. You know what I'm saying? Those are realities, and so if you can start those healthy habits, it plays a part into making a better you, and you playing a part in making the people around you better as well. So
That's true, man. And consistency is definitely key. So I do respect that, because me consistently going to the gym, working out, even when I don't want to, that I have noticed that come as physically it comes out, spiritually, inside, and mentally has been beneficial for me. And I think everybody that's listening in on this, if you got questions, do me a favor, drop those questions inside the box, the chat box, whatever it may be. You can reach out to me at any time. We can definitely go into more discussion on this. If you want us to do a Zoom where I get these same brothers on there and we continue to discuss, we'll go from there. And man, I might also say this: you alphas, y'all okay, man? I'm sitting right beside 3 alphas. I'm not gonna let them influence my little brother. We're gonna send him the right way, you all. 19 11, I'm gonna send him the right way.
It is good.
But you alphas okay, man. But thank you guys for tuning in with us here at the Wide Think Tank. We definitely will be back. Guess what? Next month. We're going to have the queens on deck with us and see what they got to say about this same topic. So until then, you guys be safe, and as always, protect yourself.